Hey there. Have you been suffering from draft insomnia the past few days? Well, I hope you're having better sleep now that the draft is over. How well did your team draft? Stay tuned and I'll go over some of your team picks. Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. I hope y'all are having a great day. Today I'm bringing you a video recapping the NFL draft. Before we get started, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. And be sure to turn on your notification button to stay up to date with my videos. During this video, I'll give you all a grade for each team, ranging from a D- to an A+. Keep in mind, these are my grades, and for my reasons, I've ranked them as accordingly. Let's get into this video. Alright, so up first, I like to rank them from the least to the best, or the worst to the best. First team will be, they got a D-. It'll be the Houston Texans, partly because of how many draft picks they have or lack thereof and who they took. They took a quarterback. I know there's some uncertainty with Deshaun Watson. He's probably not going to play this year. Took a quarterback. They took a wide receiver, which I liked, the wide receiver that they took with Nico Collins out of Michigan. Do not know if he's going to be enough to help contribute and try and keep this team afloat with whatever their quarterback situation may end up being. The team overall just it's a raw deal having Bill O'Brien in there, what he did to the team when it comes down to trading players for draft picks and not getting anything in return. Moving right along, the next team, I gave him a D+ for the Rams. I'll talk to you a little bit about why I have the Rams as a D+ as I get through it. Next teams are C-. I have the New Orleans Saints and the Seattle Seahawks. The teams with just a C grade. I have the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, the Green Bay Packers, San Francisco 49ers, and the Las Vegas Raiders. C+, I have the Buffalo Bills, Arizona Cardinals, and Pittsburgh Steelers. B-, I have the Tennessee Titans, Washington Football Team, Cincinnati Bengals, and Philadelphia Eagles. All right, for the B grade, I have Indianapolis, Kansas City, and Detroit. For the B+, I have Chicago, Denver, and Minnesota. For the A-, I have Cleveland, Cleveland, Dallas, Atlanta, Carolina, and New England. For the A, I have the New York Giants, Jacksonville, New York Jets, and the Los Angeles Chargers. For the A+, I have Miami and the Baltimore Ravens. All right, so starting out with the Texans. Like I said a little bit earlier, not having enough picks, I just expect them to have a disastrous type of year based off the picks, the lack thereof, and it's just not enough to fill any holes that they have on the team. All right, moving to the Rams, the D+. Reason why I gave them a D+ is because they're trying the small receiver thing again and drafting a smaller receiver. I think the guy is like 5'7", 5'8", maybe 155 pounds. Not saying it won't work. I just don't see how that's going to help you moving forward right now with what you already have in the receiving core. And then they get a viable option or viable replacement for Brockers, losing him to Detroit. So I don't see, how they have fixed their holes when it comes down to them drafting. The Saints. The Saints I gave them a D+ because they were kind of all over the place. I gave the Saints a C-. The Saints were kind of all over the place. They took an undersized quarterback in Ian Book. And they took a gamble in the secondary with Paulson Adebo. The reason why I said they're all over the place, it kind of looked like they wanted to help out their defense, but then it also kind of looked like, hey, they were looking for a replacement just in case Taysom Hill or either Jameis Winston is not doing what they need them to do in a few years or whatnot. I would imagine going forward, one of those two that's already there would be the quarterback, but the Saints have other reasons for other plans. I'm sorry. If I were them, I would have not used this pick on the quarterback right now. I would have kind of waited to see who's coming up next in the next year's draft. All right, Seattle. Seattle's kind of in the same boat as the Houston Texans. 3 picks out of the draft. I don't understand how you can try to maneuver anything with having three picks in the draft. 3 picks in the draft are just not gonna give you much of wiggle room to help give you any kind of needs, whether it be somebody to pair with DK Metcalf. That's a viable option. I know they have some other guys that's already there, but at times people are looking and saying, hey, all those particular guys threats. I know Lockett is there. I know they have another receiver. I can't remember his name right off the rip, but they have him. Those 2 guys there they're reliable, but they still want to get that 4th receiver to kind of help be a threat as well. I also know they addressed their tight end situation. They got a tight end. They got Everett from the Rams. Just want to see how he's going to fit into this offense. And the other need that they have is their offensive line issues. There was a time to where Russell Wilson, still at the time, Russell Wilson's not happy about getting hit so many times. And at the end of the day, I'm going to ask the question, was the Jamal Adams trade worth it, giving up all those first-round draft picks? All right, moving right along, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, I got them at a C. So with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, they kind of just went into a best player available mode for some of the positions that they probably think they need going forward. I do like some of the picks that they have. Cree Humphrey and Joe Tryon, those are great picks for teams that really need them. But these guys are kind of going to sit back and wait until a chance to get on the line or to get in the rotation or whatever it may be. Cree Humphrey has a real good chance at playing, but he is a kind of move around, go down the field, and kind of punish people because of his arm length. Not saying he's not agile enough to go. Agile enough to pass pro, but his specialty is running around and attacking defenders as they come and break the line of scrimmage, or if he goes out and he sees them coming through, he can basically kind of push them off there and use his leverage and block that way. But nevertheless, Kansas City picked him, so evidently they like what they seen, and they figured that, hey, when we do run the ball, we have somebody that can act as a pulling guard if need be. All right. The next team. Oh man, oh well, my bad. I just gave you guys Kansas City. That's not. So that was Kansas City, not Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay took the best player available with Joe Tryon, not Cree Humphrey. Green Bay, I gave them a C as well. They took a track star in the defensive back from Georgia. It's fine to take the speedy guy, but the question I always ask, did you really need that guy over, you took 9 defenders, on the last 10 picks that you've had. So it's like, okay, are you sitting there just hoarding all the defensive players? Or are they actually doing something for you on that side of the ball to where you figure like, hey, I got to keep stockpiling more and more defense and not give Aaron Rodgers some significant other options, whether it be offensive line help or another receiver or whatnot, which they did. They took a receiver later on. He is a good pickup. Rodgers is a good pickup. It's just the fact, like, why wait? Why you wait so late if this is what your quarterback has been asking for, either additional weapons or additional protection or whatever? Because they did lose some linemen in free agency, so you got to kind of help replenish that protection and get him the protection that he needs. Because everybody knows if you protect him, he's gonna light up the scoreboard and win games for you. Now, the issue is in the playoffs when things change, when people take away your number 1 and possibly your number 2 option. Who are your number 3? Who's your number 4? Do you have a different game plan once they take that away? All right. Next team is San Francisco 49ers. They get a C as well. The entire draft, all of their particular picks were potential based, not so much of what have you done or what can you do for me. It's all about, hey, okay, if we can maximize your potential, you can end up doing this for us. The real hit, home run hitter for them is Trey Sermon, and that's if he's not going to be asked to be the featured back coming right off the rip, which I don't think he'll be asked to be the featured back, even though they have some running back issues with injuries and so forth. I think he'll kind of slide his way in there in the package deal, maybe get some third down carries and whatnot. Las Vegas Raiders. To me, it was a complete blunder taking Alex Leatherwood as high as they took him, especially with other offensive tackles there along the draft. You had Tevin Jenkins that was there. You had Cosme. You had basically everybody outside of Sewell, Penny Sewell, that was there. So you had opportunity. They picked 17. You had opportunity to go ahead and take the highest rated possible player there, but you didn't. You took somebody that, hey, I guess because Leatherwood has played in different positions along the line, that kind of what allowed you to flock to him and stay with it. And at the end of the day, teams know what they want, and once they know what they want, they kind of go with what they feel. The other thing is them losing the multiple offensive linemen that they lost this offseason. The ones that they got, they're basically developmental projects. They're hoping that these guys develop into what their tape looks like or the position that they played. Them being ranked as high as they were compared to college players, they're saying, hey, okay, if you can mimic close to this, we good to go with that. We'll be fine with that. We can work with that. All right, moving right along. All right, the next team is C pluses. Next team is Buffalo. Buffalo double dipped. I think they double dipped in 2 edge guys first, and then I think they double dipped with 2 offensive tackles. To me, I think you could have alternated to try and get a little bit better of a look. And they also went for bigger, taller guys, and that don't necessarily mean that, hey, these guys will translate well into the NFL. Because I will tell you, that 6'8", 6'7" defensive end, you got to remember, he has to bend all of that to get back inside and win. If a tackle is trying to push them outside, they got to be able to bend back in and get to the quarterback. The one thing that is an advantage for them, though, is them having their reach. So now you're talking about, hey, I can punch, or I can just reach around you and grab hold of the quarterback jersey, or either slap the ball out of his hand and cause a lot of fumbles. You don't really have to get home all the time when you're so tall. All right, Arizona, the Cardinals, they had a great first round, quarter of the draft. Picking up the players they picked up. Xavier Collins, I'm still saying it. I look for him to contend for Defensive Rookie of the Year. It will be hard for them not to take him and not play him early on. I really would be mind blown if they took this guy and said, hey, you know what? We're not going to play you. We're going to kind of let you sit back, and then maybe, depending on how the season goes, we'll basically throw you in there in like garbage time or whatnot. Especially with them needing linebacker help. So it should be a no-brainer for him to start or have some kind of capacity to where he's playing, to where he's affecting the game, or he can affect the game. All right. They also picked a projected 7th rounder in the 5th round, and they had 7th-round picks. I got it. Typically, you don't see that often, especially by the teams that are basically trying to get to that next level. Because let's be honest, some people are looking at the Cardinals as not being consistent in getting into the playoffs. So if they're trying to get to that next realm or that next tier, then you need to be certain of what you're picking with your picks and how you build this team and how you construct it going forward. all the pieces to help Kyler Murray, and all the pieces that's going to help your defense. Because remember, you lost Hassan Reddick to Carolina. You got to fill that board. If you fill that board through the draft, then now you got to get secondary help because you lost Patrick Peterson to Minnesota. So those two boards need to be filled, and not with developmental players. We need players that, hey, if nothing else, you can remain neutral and not get beat on defense, day in and day out. And then now you can turn around and say, hey, okay, look, I'm not to be planned against. Because I will tell you, if you got holes in your defense, there's only a couple film sessions away to where that next OC that you're playing, look at that and say, hey, okay, their cornerback is trash on the left side. We're going to them every time we can. We're going to the well. They're not going to do it every down. They're going to, of course, they're going to bait you, but then they're going to realize they're not going to show you their cards, probably not even in the first quarter. They'll probably show you their cards second, third, maybe fourth quarter, when you're good and tired, and now everybody takes a mental lapse. And then guess what? Here we go, we can exploit that weakness. All right, Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh, and I asked the question, was a tight end a real need for this offense? You got Najee Harris, which is fine. It's fine for me because he will give you that surefire running back ability, whether it's passing, running, blocking, all that. He's able to do all of that. The other thing is how long are you going to give him the realms of the running back starting position right now, right off the rip? That's the one thing I would ask, because Benny Snell, yeah, he had fumbling issues or whatnot, but do you guys trust him over a rookie? That's going to be the question going forward. If not, I'll ask the question again. Why'd you take him in the first round, knowing that, hey, you weren't going to allow him to come in and compete for the running back, the starting running back position? All right. They got good O-line prospects through Green and Moore. These guys played a lot of offensive, a lot of snaps as linemen in college. Dan Moore is somebody I was looking at for the Ravens, be a late draft steal. So I know he has the capability to block, pass block, or either run block. And then Green played with Illinois, and they kind of had that type of offense that, hey, it was quick hitter, do a lot of pass pro. So both these guys can pass pro. It's just a matter of, like I said, when are they going to crack the rotation? I know Pittsburgh lost some offensive linemen in the offseason, and they get some people back from injury, and I just want to see how all this is going to gel together and when will these guys crack the rotation. All right, Cincinnati. Cincinnati had probably the first blunder in the draft, even though some other teams had a blunder. The reason why I say they had the blunder is because you lost your quarterback last year to injury. And you turn around and you pick a receiver over the lineman, one of the highest rated linemen in the draft, and Penei Sewell. I don't understand. Penei Sewell, I don't understand why you pass him up to get Jamar Chase, especially knowing what kind of defenses are in the AFC North. So that's 6 games that you're going to play against guys that can run, rush the passer. And then ain't no telling who else you're going to play that can rush the passer. So now you're saying, hey, okay, if my quarterback does come back from this injury and he's about 60 or 70% of what he was, and we're going to slowly allow him to progress to get closer to 100% as we can, you now put some kind of doubt in that kid's head to where, hey, man, are they really trying to protect me or not? And then you followed it up. You followed it up with taking an offensive tackle later on in the draft. And then if that wasn't enough, you say, you know what? We're going to draft a kicker. Cincinnati, come on. I don't understand. All right. So moving along to the next team. Next team will be the Tennessee Titans. The Tennessee Titans, the Tennessee Titans. So the Tennessee Titans took offensive linemen in the first part of the draft. They took Fairley. I don't know what Caleb Farley's injury history is going to look like. What his rehab is going to look like. I don't know how long they're going to give him. I don't know how long he's going to take. But if he's medically cleared, that to me that's a really good pickup for this particular type of defense. Them having good linebacker play, decent defensive lineman play, and just basically a well-rounded defense. So that's what if Mike Vrabel can't do anything else, he can prepare his defense to play every Sunday. Molden from Washington was an absolute steal. So I look for this young secondary player to come in and make his impact when he's given the opportunity. Is he going to be on people's number ones? Probably not. He's probably going to start out maybe on the twos or threes, and then he'll probably progress into that particular role to where he said, hey, you know what? Now I can go rotate on everybody's number one player versus the slot guy or either the offside or the backside receiver. All right, the wide receiver picks for them. I just don't believe them being consistent, them staying consistent the whole time during their developmental phase. The other thing is how much are you going to give them an opportunity to replace Corey Davis? I just don't see it coming right out of college onto the NFL playing field and them having a bigger impact, as big of an impact in the offense like Corey Davis. All right, Washington football team. They picked multiple gems and they had some late. The two that I liked was William Bradley King from Baylor and Shaka Toney from Penn State. The reason I like both of these guys is because they have a high ceiling. And Washington really don't need them right now. They're loaded on defense. They don't really need those guys. They probably, these are guys that, if somebody's gassed or somebody's injured for a few seconds or whatnot, these are the guys that we can put in and not really lose too much. So with that being said, the term the rich get richer. Well, Washington football team is pretty rich when it comes down to defensive linemen. So I just think these guys are kind of be projects initially coming in, but they will crack the rotation when they play against teams that maybe like to throw it a lot, or maybe the teams that are one-dimensional, whether it be running a lot or just passing a lot. So I look at these guys, they will get some playing time and they will get a chance to contribute. So, all right, the other one, other GM that I like from them is Cosme. I understand he has some injuries history and whatnot. But keep in mind, remember, like I just said about the two defensive linemen, this offensive lineman, there's really not a super need for him. He can kind of take his time and about week 6 and be ready to go. Now, all of these guys are going to compete. Obviously, they're going to say that they're going to compete for starting job. But when's the last time that happened? I have a 4 or 5 year veteran on my team, and I replace him with a rookie. Probably never going to happen, because there's one thing you can't replace. Talent is one thing, but in-game experience and the mental capacity to handle certain situations is something totally different than just being super talented. All right, Philadelphia. I still got to ask this question: who's playing running back for them? Who's playing running back? Because you didn't make a lot of noise on trying to get a running back. You got one later on in the draft. But is that particular running back going to be your feature back going forward? The other thing is I got to ask, you took one offensive lineman the entire draft. So does that mean all of your linemen now have a clean bill of health? They're ready to go. They're closest to 100% as they're going to get. And if that is the case, then now you should have looked at some more receivers to try and help you out, because you lost Deshaun Jackson. You lost a couple of receivers in free agency. So with that being said, you should be trying to make it an as complete team as you can on offense and defense. I like some of the stuff you guys did on defense, not all of it. All right. So moving to the B teams. Next team would be Indianapolis. We'll talk about. So Indianapolis. It was nothing too special on them. I do like Pay. he's not going to be an immediate starter because once again, he's in that same type of situation as Washington football team is with their young defensive linemen. They don't really need them to start right this minute. It's kind of like, hey, I got you. I'm going to kind of hold you back for a little bit. And then once you start to grasp the concept of our schemes and our blitzes and so forth, then I can slowly but surely insert you in the lineup and give you a little bit more and more on your plate each and every week. And then turn around, you can crack the rotation depending on who we play that particular week. They still need a replacement for Costanzo. They didn't address it. Maybe they have a free agent plan. Maybe they don't. Maybe they take an undrafted free agent and sign them. Maybe they have already done it. I will tell you, you have to keep that line as steady as you can for Carson Wentz, because the moment you allow him to start getting hit, we kind of seen what happened in Philly. So if you allow him to come to Indianapolis and get hit the same way he got hit in Philly, you may have the same type of results. Am I saying tell you that, hey, is it definite? No, I'm not going to tell you it's a definite that he would get injured or anything. I'm going to tell you that, hey, if teams know you can't block in a certain particular part of your line, they are going to attack that as much as they can. All right. So now this is the time for Kansas City. Kansas City, Gray is Noah Gray, the tight end. He's an excellent backup to Travis Kelce. That particular tight end is the one to learn from. If you're going to learn anything about the tight end position, Travis Kelce would be the one to learn from and talk to you about how you break down certain routes. If the defender is playing you, when do you break? When do you need to shut it down? How to catch the ball and tuck it away, so forth and so on. So Travis Kelce is the epitome of the tight end position right now in the NFL. If you had to watch film about a tight end, Travis Kelce would be the tight end to look up and say, hey, okay, look, if I'm going to do anything in the NFL, maybe not at the collegiate level, but if I'm going to do anything in the NFL as a tight end, this is the guy I need to be closest to as much as I can. The guy that they got that I really was high on, basically as a steal, is Kendo from Florida State, defensive end from them. The reason why I was high on him because he has a high motor. He's big, he's fast. He has some injuries. He has some problems sometimes with his assignments and so forth. Just as any young player would. But if you can maximize his potential and kind of help him slow the game down enough to where he can process it and he's not trying to go 100 miles an hour every down, then you can kind of slowly but surely give him more. When it comes down to the scheme blocks. When it comes down to scheme blitzes and so forth. So now, instead of just saying, hey, I'm going to just try and bull rush everybody, I know, hey, look, they're going to run the play to this particular side, and I need to be patient and have contained versus just running in there and blitzing and losing containment. So if they have a cutback, now my particular defensive scheme is messed up now because I didn't hold that backside contained like I was supposed to. All right. Moving right along. Cree Humphrey. I already talked about him. His questions is if he's a fit for this type of offense. So, but if looking at it, they have probably the nastiest line projections of the offensive line when it comes down to being able to do everything. I still think Indianapolis has the more complete line. But if I had to look at it based off of the draft additions and so forth, Kansas City has closed that gap when it comes down to offensive line and their projections. All right, moving on to Detroit. Detroit had a solid draft, pretty solid draft, especially because they got blessed with a couple of players falling into their lap. Now the real question is it the safety from I think it's Syracuse? I can't pronounce his name. But if he's up to par, like anything that I've seen on his tape, he is going to be huge for this particular defense. It's going to be huge for them because everybody knows once you get an anchor somewhere under the defense, you kind of shift the offense where they want to go. If they know you're a ball hog, they know you're a playmaker, you lay the wood or whatever it may be, teams tend to avoid you. They say, hey, look, you know what? We don't want to chance it going over there to this guy. We'll basically take our chances somewhere else. Now, the other thing what that does for you is that motivates other players. When they see young players come out straight out of the draft and come here and make an impact, that allows everybody else to, hey, you know what? Now it's time. I really want to give my all to this young kid and show him that, hey, I'm here with you. So everybody raises their energy level, and that defense could be something special. They added Penny Sewell for the offensive line. Defense, they didn't have a super crazy bad offensive line already. They was pretty decent, if you want to call it that, before Stafford got hurt. So I think they'll keep doing what they've been doing. Adding a player like Penny Sewell is the same thing. You know, this particular player come in, and he kind of fell in their lap, but he comes in. Now he can elevate your offensive line play to where, hey, everybody feels, hey, I can do a little bit more. This kid come in and do all these reps and get all these reps and get all this time, I can turn around and do the same thing. Okay? The steal of their draft, though, is my man Levi Onwuzurike. He's going to get pressure from the inside of the defensive line. Interior defensive line, if you can pass rush from that particular spot, because most of the time you're a zero technique, a three technique, and if you are either one of those, you basically just a knot in that line, and you're basically saying, hey, look, I can't let anybody squirt through these A or B A gaps. I can't let anybody squirt through these A gaps when it comes down to the running back. And then I also be a supplement to the B gap, depending on which side I'm shifting to. So with that being said, being the three or the zero technique, this particular guy able to rush the pass rusher, that means he's going to get extra protection, extra protection coming his way. So you taking two guys and you trying to attack him, and sometimes he may not even be the three technique. So if he's not even the three technique, depending on what kind of package we have, if he's not even the three, and I have to double team him, that's a huge advantage for the defense. Because if I got two on him, and then I may have to put two on the three, that's 4 of their 5 linemen that are already occupied. 9 times out of 10, the teams you're playing is probably going to be in a 4-3. So if they got 4 people on 2 guys, that means, guess what? Somebody's one-on-one with somebody, and somebody's running butt naked up to the quarterback. He may draw a tight end, may draw a running back, may not draw anybody, depending on what the offensive play is. All right. So moving right along to the next set. Next set is Chicago. Chicago took double OTs. It could help bolster their protection. I will tell you, I am very, very surprised of Chicago taking Justin Fields. Not so much of them taking him, because I'm just saying I'm surprised he fell that far to them. I do know, he had some medical things that he was talking about with his epilepsy or whatever it is. But I didn't expect the kid to fall this far. I thought he would probably be in the top 5, maybe in the top 7. Had no idea he'd drop down to the double digits draft pick. But hey, at the end of the day, he's off the board. He's a Bear, getting ready to be a Chicago Bear now. The one thing I ask is, are they going to pick up any kind of receivers, whether it be the undrafted free agent pool, or are they going to look at some kind of veteran to sign on June 1st, or what? Because you got to still help out Allen Robinson and company and see, hey, what can we do to make this offense as complete as we can, and then go from there. Because as you can see, in the NFC North, all the other teams are getting good additions on their team that can help contribute and help negate some of the pressures that the other teams are going to put on them as they play throughout the NFC North. All right, Denver. Denver went defensive heavy, which I thought they would, just because of how their offense performed. Their offense is young. They had quarterback issues with injuries and so forth, just like the Giants did. But I think they can overcome them. I think Denver can overcome some of their quarterback issues. The thing that I wanted to see from Denver is, do they want to play defense again? And I think this draft kind of summed it up that, hey, they really want to kind of play defense again. I look for Jamar Johnson, the safety from Indiana, to come in and have a big impact on that particular secondary. Not particularly him to look to take over the captain duties or anything, but I look at him to come in, and if there's a nickel situation that needs to happen, I think he can fit that role very well and impress some people to where he can now start to get it, up the depth chart a little quicker than expected. The other thing is their running back situation resolved? You still have Melvin Gordon, understand that, but you took Williams, I believe, out of North Carolina, who's a fine back. He's a fine back, but is Melvin Gordon prepared to split carries with this rookie, and vice versa? I know the rookie is going to want to come in and get some carries. So when are you going to start to give him some carries? Is it immediately? Is it, hey, you got to kind of earn it through training camp, or what? All right, Minnesota. They took an early trade to get additional picks, which is good for them. So they ended up, I think, with 2 additional picks, and then they still walked away with Darisaw and Davis. Both of those guys along that offensive line will be shots in the arm for this offensive line when it comes down to getting their adrenaline going. Because at times it looked like Minnesota just do not want to compete. I don't know if that's the Kirk Cousins aura or what. I don't understand. Sometimes they play a team that they figure, hey, we can just beat them. They kind of don't put their foot on their throat. They kind of say, hey, you know what? We'll sit around and we'll let you hang around in the game, even though you know you're not supposed to be here with us. And then, oh yeah, by the way, they have relinquished some leads as well in some games that they should have won. They was up by probably double-digit points, and then they turn around and lose it because of that particular, hey, I don't want to put my foot on your throat because, you guys are so nice to us in the offseason and so forth. So I think this will allow them to say, hey, you know what? No, forget that. We are trying to stomp your guts out every chance we get when it comes down to beating you physically and mentally along the offensive line. All right. All right. So moving to the A minus. So the A minus teams are Cleveland, Dallas, Atlanta, Carolina, and New England. All right. So first team is going to be Dallas. So with Dallas, Dallas is here because they had 11 picks in the draft. I didn't know this. They had 11 picks. They went pretty hard on the defensive side. Some of the people that they have are going to be phenomenal players. One particular is Jabril Cox. Jabril Cox, for whatever reason, I don't know yet. I'm still looking. He fell in the draft right into Dallas Cowboys' laps. This is huge considering that Sean Lee retired, so now you get a media void filled with Jabril Cox. Is Jabril Cox Sean Lee? Absolutely not. I'm not saying that, but I figure you can coach him up, but by that time and let him know what his role is enough to where, hey, we say, hey, we got enough to turn around and help us compete for this division. That particular thing you can't pick. That particular position you can't pick. You can't pick on him week in and week out. Now the other thing is, you got to get him mentally prepared because I will be honest with you. As you guys can see, with our guy Patrick Queen in the Baltimore Ravens defense, it wasn't always a physical thing. It was a mental thing too. When it comes down to overplaying, not having enough patience, reacting too slow, and so forth. So he kind of just had to pick his poison, and he went through a slump. And then guess what? He worked himself out of his own slump through his play by what he learned week in and week out. So hopefully that'll be the same case with Jabril Cox. The other pick that I like from the Dallas Cowboys is Simi Fehiko. I think he's from Stanford, wide receiver. big body, 6'4", 200 plus pounds. I think what's his name? CeeDee Lamb, I think is 6'2". He's bigger than CeeDee Lamb. Not as fast, not as quick, but if you need a long possession, has good catch radius, can high point the ball very well, and he can get some yak too. Even though he's not as fast as the rest of the receivers, he can get some yak. So when that being said, the Cowboys get close to the red zone. I see this guy, if he can crack the rotation, to be a viable threat, especially with them not particularly addressing their tight end issues. So I'll look for this guy to crack the lineup, and then on top of that, get some targets in the red zone. All right. The other thing is, the last thing I'm talking about with Dallas is they took one offensive lineman. There should be a growing concern with the age of their offensive line. So I would imagine they would say, hey, you know what? Look, now is the time we need to start looking at offensive linemen. Maybe they do it in an undrafted free agency pool. Maybe they don't. Maybe they take it in the veteran free agency pool as well. I don't know. I have no idea. I would just like to see Dallas try and replenish their old linemen that are getting ready. They're knocking on the door already to get ready to be out of there. I just think they need to go ahead and say, all right, let me go and start signing some of these guys to where if it does happen, we can go ahead and just kind of plug and play and then be good to go. Atlanta, their top 4 picks could start for them right now. So this is not so much of what they're going to get when it comes down to the play, but it's just the fact that the immediate impact for these guys. Is that a knock on the Atlanta Falcons? Kind of. Yes, it is, based off of what they have. Even Kyle Pitts, their top pick that they picked, he can come in and have an instant impact because now you're talking about him and Hayden Hurst. You put Julio Jones and Calvin Ridley, those are 4 viable options, and that's not even talking about anybody else, any other supplemental receivers in that particular package. And it doesn't matter who the running back is at that point because guess what? All these guys are potential threats. You're going to have to double somebody, whether it be Julio, maybe Calvin Ridley, depending on who you're playing. Maybe they say, hey, Julio's over the hill. Do you give Kyle Pitts that extra attention? Then on top of this, it's going to be a matchup problem. It's going to be a matchup problem for most defenses when they put that particular type of package out there. The other thing is you can detach him from the line. You don't have to attach him to the line with Kyle Pitts. You can put him outside in 3-by-1. You can put him out 3-by-1. You can put him with the 3, or you can put him backside by himself, which he's done tons of times at Florida. Guess what? You got to respect it. So with that being said, that's why I said the top 4 picks could start. This is a solid rebuild or solid productivity for them when it comes down to trying to move forward. I like they got Graham to kind of help Grady Jarrett because being honest with you, every time they played, anytime anybody played the Falcons, they already knew, hey, double team Grady Jarrett and we'll be all right. Because the rest of the other guys, they're not going to give us anything when it comes down to trying to rush the passer or their technique was good enough to get past our one-on-one matchups. So with Graham has a very, very fast first step. His technique is really good. So I just want to see his motor. If his motor is going to be, is he going to be able to sustain it, through the whole time and so forth. All right, Carolina. Carolina did well this draft, and it's hard to say that because last year they did well with their draft. People were looking at them, because they took, all defensive players last year in 2020. So people were looking at them saying, hey, what are you doing? You need a little bit of offense. Well, they kind of licked their wounds and said, hey, you know what? We're cool with where we at. And we added to this defense. We added more to the defense by getting J.C. Horn. And they got Hassan Reddick in free agency. So this defense, could be, lights out next year. Top 5, maybe even top 3. Depend on, are they going to maximize everybody's potential? And now they're going to be firing on cylinders, feeding off what they did last year and wanting to do more. So if they're able to do that, then look out for Carolina's defense, and they'll be a viable option when it comes down to, not viable option, but a viable threat to be in the top defense in the league. I will tell you that they also addressed their offensive line too, because Deontay Brown and Christensen from Deontay Brown's from Alabama, and Christensen from BYU. They're not slouch offensive linemen. They have big game experience. Now it's just a matter of is it going to translate to the NFL? Is it going to translate to the NFL, and then how long is it going to take them to get into the lineup and start to perform like they need to be? All right, so next team is Cleveland. I got Cleveland. If there was ever a four-leaf clover type of team or draft, Cleveland is it. Their first three picks, they went straight speed, and these guys kind of fell in their lap. I had them picking Greg Newsome the second for their first pick, but I did not have them taking JOK because I thought JOK would be gone by then. And then the third pick, they summed it up by getting Anthony Schwartz from Auburn. I will tell you, their coach said they wanted to get faster at every position. They wanted speed at every position, and it looks that way right now. It looks that way that they got faster. They want to improve their speed of the team, how fast they're able to play, and so forth. But my only question is going to be, how much is that going to is it going to confuse you guys, or is your guys going to be able to play with that speed and also make sound decisions as well? Because the last thing you want to be is super fast and you're not smart. You got to be fast, but you got to be smart as well. And then the last pick that I really like that they got is LeCount from Georgia, the safety. They need help in the safety spot. Is he the answer? Could be. He has a good pass breakup ability. He has good hands. Don't know about all his tackling ability. I know he delivers a punch, but I don't know about him in open field, wrapping people up and so forth. So a lot of that is yet to be seen. I'm not saying he can't do it. I just want to know if he can do it, and how effective is he going to be by doing it. All right. The next team is the New England Patriots. The Patriots took Mac Jones, another projection. I had them projected to take him. Mac Jones changes the trajectory of that team. And I don't mean like in a derogatory way or anything like that. What I do mean is he is not the dual threat type of quarterback that a Cam Newton is, or any kind of running quarterback is when it comes down to that team. If you're going to want that team to have the RPO ability, not so much of running it all the time, but they have the ability, but now you don't have that ability, that changes that team, that changes how teams play you, that changes how you can address certain things. Because I'm being honest with you, if you put in an RPO game with a quarterback that has mobility issues, it's not going to be as elusive, so you won't be able to fool people, because people can kind of sit there and kind of be reactionary to you instead of just going to play assignment football. With the Cam Newton or a faster type of, or a believable type of running quarterback that believe in how you can run it, teams have to respect that. With Mac Jones doing RPOs, you probably don't have to respect. You probably don't have to respect. You probably look at him like, "Are you serious right now?" But at the end of the day, he makes up for it in his passing ability. The other thing is, if that is the case, why did you guys not take any receivers in the draft if you're going to look forward to Mac Jones trying to get some playing time? I just think I would have tried to get him a weapon or two outside of the two tight ends. And that way we can kind of have a decent type of passing game in the wide receivers and tight end. And then we also, everybody know about the three-headed monster with the not three-headed monster, but the running back by committee with their three running backs that they got. All right, and then if that wasn't enough, they got two steals of a pass rusher between Perkins and Barmore. Ronnie Perkins from Oklahoma and Barmore from Alabama. For them to be able to get those guys, defensive ends or defensive tackles, the latest they got them, that's huge, because now you talk about the likes of a Matt Judon and the defense that they have already there. Now you insert two energetic rookies that kind of want to make their way or prove their way. Now you insert them in the mix. That could be pretty dangerous, especially because before pre-COVID, people were saying the Patriots had a top 5 defense. If some people say, hey, I don't believe that. To me, I think they performed, as a top 5 defense on some occasions. And some occasions they didn't. So it's just a matter of when they get them back, are they all going to be firing on all cylinders? And if they are, I would like to see it. All right. So moving along to the A's. First team is the New York Giants. The New York Giants, being honest with you, Kadarius Toney falling in their lap is a match made in heaven. The reason why I say that is because they already had a decent wide receiver core as it is. Now you put something like this in you basically give them a new toy to their quarterback, Jones. So now you give him that, and now we can do some sweeps, we can do some slants, we can do some sluggos, we can do all kind of stuff. Everything is not a vertical or a post. Now I have somebody that can run in between the tackles. I have somebody that's a deep ball threat everywhere he goes. I have not so much a deep ball threat, but a home run threat everywhere he goes on the field. Then on top of this, you've got to get Saquon Barkley back. If Saquon Barkley is 75 to 80% of what he was before his ACL injury, this could be scary. The only question that I have for this offense is, what is their offensive line going to look like? Is their offensive line going to be particularly good? Is Slater going to be their best lineman coming in as a rookie? Or do they have somebody that's going to step up and say, hey, you know what? We got this. We're going to provide the best particular protection that we can to our team and then go from there. All right. If the last thing is Azeez Ojulari. If he is cleared for some odd reason, if he's cleared, then I expect him to come in and compete as well along that defensive front, giving them another opportunity to free up the pass rush throughout the defense to where, hey, you guys got to kind of respect both of us instead of just one of us. That'd be huge if he's cleared, especially cleared pre-training camp. If he's cleared to go ahead and participate in training camp and so forth, and he's ready by week 1, that would be huge for this particular defense. Next team is the Chargers. I still can't believe this. They got Asante Samuel Jr. To be drafted on this team. People are still making on debate shows talking about the Chargers having the best secondary in the NFL. Now you turn around, you insert a player with the IQ, with the ability, with the technique and so forth of a Asante Samuel. You put him there, and then by the way, they don't need any more swagger. They got it all. They got it all in the secondary. So now you turn around, and you give them some more swagger, and now they just say, hey, you know what? If Derwin James comes back healthy, this could be a changing point for them. Meaning that, hey, the Chiefs, you don't have a lot of breathing room. You don't have a lot of breathing room if these guys can get their defense healthy. If they can get their defense healthy, offense is not the issue. They can keep their defense healthy. They are a tough outing throughout that division. So I would be very, very surprised. Very, very surprised if they don't make some noise having that defense back and healthy. All right. Next team would be Jacksonville. Jacksonville, they had 5 picks in the top 100. This is big for them, trying to find their identity and trying to get back to where they were. I want to say 2018 is when they made the AFC Championship or somewhere along that lines. They got Travis Etienne and they got Trevor Lawrence. Those guys, they know each other. So I expect them to come in and basically share that love to that particular team. They got some inbound veterans, G.I. Ward, Marvin Jones. They got those guys to come in. They got Chark already there. So I look for them to turn around and say, hey, you know what? Let's give everybody some TLC and let them know, hey, we back at square one right now. But we all in this thing together, and let's learn from each other, and then let's see where we can take it. Do I look for them to turn around and compete for a playoff spot this year? No, absolutely not. No, they still have too many holes left. But for where they were to where they are now, I think it's a good possibility that they can probably get to 500 or one game over 500 because it's 17 games this year. So I think they can. I think they can. It's just a matter of how much empowering is Urban Meyer going to have to do to get them there. All right. Next team is the New York Jets. Yeah, y'all. I'm talking about the draft, and I'm talking about the New York Jets doing good. It's been a while, but they did do some good stuff in the draft. First off, they picked two guys named Michael Carter, so I guess they're infatuated with the name Michael Carter. The thing they addressed their secondary needs. Picked up a couple players in secondary. Nasruddin from Florida State. I know he tore his ACL. I think it was 2019. So if he tore his ACL in 2019, he should be kind of back to 100%. I don't know for sure, but he's gonna have to get a medical clearance as well. Get his medical blessing. He gets the medical blessing. If he can turn to anything that he was for Florida State, because he has excellent ball skills when it comes down to ball being thrown in the air. He can track it and he can take it. He can pick it off. Probably not the biggest of the hitters. Probably not the biggest when it comes down to helping it run support. But passing, yeah, he's that dude. He's that dude. It says a lot that he's injured. He was technically injured and opted out, and he still got drafted. So it says a lot about him. The other thing is you got Vera Tucker. Vera Tucker, the pair with Mekhi Becton, they should be. I'm not saying their line is going to be formidable or anything like that, but I am saying to tell you that hey, they shouldn't have as many holes on the offensive line to help protect Zach Wilson. Now, keep in mind too, Zach Wilson is not going to just sit back there and just let people come and tee off on him. So if the OC, whoever the OC is, he realizes what kind of quarterback he has, I would expect for them to say, hey, look, we're going to get a couple RPO action in there to keep the defense honest. To keep the defense honest and saying, hey, he can run versus just pinning your ears back and going to get the quarterback every down. All right, and this is the last couple of picks, or the last couple of teams. The two teams that got an A+ for, and the reason why I have the A+ for, because what they addressed, and they didn't go for the shiny object all the time, but what they addressed and how they did it, and on top of this, if the people that they got perform up to anywhere near their potential, they could make a lot of noise in their respective divisions. First team is Baltimore. Baltimore, everybody know late draft. We took Wallace, Tylan Wallace from Oklahoma State. Guy is he's called the difficult catch king when it comes down to him catching in traffic. That is crazy to have that type of title. Meaning that, hey, he's not the fastest, he's not the strongest, he's not the tallest, but guess what? If you throw it anywhere in his vicinity and he has a step, he's gonna catch it. They had a graph that was, I believe it was on Twitter. He had 60 receptions of where he didn't drop anything. 60 receptions of it, he didn't drop anything with him having at least one step on somebody. Him having one step on somebody, he was catching. That's crazy to think about. Crazy to think about. One step is probably less than 6 inches in some cases. Because it's not just the measure of your foot. It's a measure about the position of where you are. You basically within somebody's hand reach. And you mean to tell me this kid is just catching the ball, every time it's thrown that way, like that. The other steal of the draft for the Ravens is Cleveland. Ben Cleveland from Georgia. I don't know if you guys seen him. He looks like a pro wrestler. He doesn't even look like a football player. I'm being honest with you. He looks like he's all jacked up on something. Does not look like he's an offensive lineman. He can probably pass for a tight end. He'll probably pass for, something different besides an offensive lineman. Because you see the offensive lineman, you see, their neck is fat. They have a, protruding belt line, something that look like an offensive lineman. He does not look like an offensive lineman whatsoever. The last team is Miami. Miami is one game away from making the playoffs, and they added all the stuff that they added. When it comes down to playmaking wide receivers, they got 2 of them. They have Will Fuller coming in. They have a good supplement to Gesicki and Hunter Long, and they did it all without giving up a lot in the draft. So they didn't give up a lot of their draft picks. They didn't do anything crazy. They kind of just stayed with what they had and left it at that. So if you guys got any questions about any of the teams that I talked about, their rankings or anything like that, feel free to drop any kind of comments in the description. Comments below, and then ask me what your questions are, and I'll answer them. All right, thank you, and bye.